Hi, welcome back to the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and today I'm bringing you a special report, one that sits at the intersection of pop culture, politics, and lived reality. Right now, LGBTQ visibility is everywhere. Queer artists are dominating the charts, trans actors are winning awards, pride brands are filling commercials, fashion campaigns, and streaming platforms. And on the surface, it does look like progress. But at the very same time, LGBTQ rights, particularly for trans people and queer immigrants, are facing some of the most aggressive political and structural threats we've seen in decades. So today, we're asking a hard but necessary question. How can visibility be increasing while protections are disappearing? And more importantly, is visibility actually protecting anyone, or is it just being used as a cover while real harm happens behind the scene? This is visibility without protection. So the era of unprecedented visibility. By almost every cultural measure, this should be a golden age. LGBTQ characters are no longer limited to side roles or tragic storylines. They're leads, they're love interests, and are fully realized people. Queer stories are central to major films, TV series, and streaming platforms. Heated Rivalry is a perfect example of how a queer story has dominated the world. In music, openly queer artists headline festivals, top charts, and shape trends. Pride aesthetics influence fashion, advertising, and branding year-round, not just in Pride Month, the month of June. For many LGBTQ+ people, especially younger listeners, this matters deeply. Representation can be affirming, it can be life-saving, and it can show someone they're not alone. But here's where the story shifts. Visibility does not equal safety, and representation does not automatically translate into rights. And when visibility becomes the only measure of progress, it can actually hide how fragile that progress really is. When visibility creates the illusion of safety, visibility can create comfort for audiences, for allies, and for institutions. When people see queer celebrities thriving and they see pride flags everywhere, it's easy to assume the hardest battles have already been won. But visibility can create illusion, that quality is settled, that protections are secure, that backlash is exaggerated, and that illusion is dangerous. Because while LGBTQ people are increasingly visible in culture, their legal protections are anything but guaranteed. So across the United States, state-level policies are quietly reshaping LGBTQ+ life, again, disproportionately impacting trans people. These policies affect access to gender-affirming health care, what a teacher is allowed to say, how schools treat queer and trans students, what an ID, a passport, or a driver's license can actually list, who feels safe traveling, who feels safe existing in public. Even when a bill doesn't pass, they still do damage. Doctors hesitate to provide care. Teachers are starting to self-censor. Families quietly plan exits from their states, or even maybe the country. Trans adults delay paperwork, health care, or visibility altogether. Experts call this a chilling effect, where fear, uncertainty, and anticipation become tools of control. And here's the contradiction. All this unfolds while LGBTQ+ visibility reaches historic. People are celebrated publicly and constrained privately. Visibility meets federal power in Minneapolis, and this disconnect isn't a theory. It's playing out right now in real cities and real communities. So let's look at Minneapolis. In recent weeks, increased ICE activity and federal enforcement have turned the city into a flashpoint, sparking protest, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people, fear, and renewed conversation about who is actually protected in the moment of crisis. For LGBTQ+ immigrants, especially those who are undocumented, trans, or seeking asylum, visibility offers no shield. Representation doesn't stop detention, cultural acceptance doesn't override federal authority, and pride flags don't prevent families from being torn apart. Community advocates in Minneapolis say fear has ripped across immigrant neighborhoods, including queer and trans residents who already face discrimination in housing, employment, and healthcare. Some people are even avoiding public spaces. Others are skipping medical appointments. Community organizations are shifting resources from celebration to emergency response. And what's striking is how quietly this happens when public culture continues celebrating progress. This is visibility without protection in real time. Minneapolis is often viewed as a progressive city, but federal enforcement doesn't stop at city values or local politics. And for the LGBTQ plus immigrants, that reality is sobering. Before I continue, I wanted to thank Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode. Really talk. Now that the holidays are over, I feel like my bank account is still trying to recover. Between the food, the drinks, the gifts, it all adds up. And even when you're trying to cut back, it's hard because you're like, okay, but I still need my phone. That's where Mint Mobile has honestly been a game changer for me. Mint Mobile's year-end sale is still going on, but only until the end of the month. So this is one of those don't sleep on it moments. This is how you finally cut big wireless and all the bloated plans, unnecessary monthly charge. Right now, Mint is offering 50% off when you choose a 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited plan, and you're not giving anything up to save money. Every plan comes with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and all delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And the best part, you don't need a new phone. You just use the phone you already have. You keep your same number and all your contacts with you. No hassle and no stress. If you're looking for one easy way to save money this month, quit overspending with wireless with 50% off unlimited premium plans. Plus, start at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/listenup. That's mintmobile.com/listenup. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. That's $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only, more than 50 gigabytes, may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. So back to the story, when visibility replaces action, this is where a disconnect becomes most dangerous. Visibility can create the appearance of equality without delivering it. Queer sex stories are held up as proof that discrimination is no longer somatic. Representation becomes evidence that harm is overstated, but visibility doesn't stop forced relocation. Guaranteed medical care, it doesn't protect legal status or prevent discrimination. In some cases, it increases exposure without increasing safety. And yet, institutions often treat visibility as the finish line. So let's talk a little bit about corporate pride versus corporate power. Corporate pride has become expected. Rainbow logos, limited edition merchandise, inclusive advertising. At its best, this once helped normalize LGBTQ plus inclusion. But today, many advocates question how deep that support really goes. When legislation threatens LGBTQ plus lives, many corporations remain silent. Some quietly scale back pride campaigns. Others retreat in politically sensitive areas. Visibility is low risk, advocacy is optional, and that gap is where trust erodes. Because if support disappears the moment it becomes inconvenient, it was never protection to begin with. So let's talk about the backlash cycle. There is a familiar pattern. Visibility increases, moral panic follows, politicians exploit fear, rights are restricted, drag becomes a target. Yes, drag queens. A drag show is becoming a target in many communities. Trans existence becomes a debate. Queer joy becomes suspicious. And instead of confronting political optimism, blame shifts towards LGBTQ plus people themselves for being too visible, for being themselves, as if quality must be quiet to be acceptable. That logic, it is not only wrong, it's dangerous. And the emotional cost of this moment, for many LGBTQ plus people, describe this era as emotionally exhausting. It's the whiplash of celebration, that threat existing side by side. One moment you see yourself reflected on screen, the next you see your rights being debated. The contradiction creates anxiety, burnout, and constant vigilance. Joy and fear can coexist, but fear should not be the price of visibility. And what actually moves the needle? Well, visibility still matters. It must be paired with accountability. Real progress requires policy protections, corporate advocacy behind branding, media connecting culture to consequences, and allies showing up outside of Pride Month. Voters focusing on local and state races, and visibility opens the door. Policies decide whether it stays open. This midterm election in the United States is going to be more important than ever. It is going to change our country. If we do not make this change now, who knows what this country will be in the future years to come. We have to look at this and say, when is enough enough? We have to say, how did we get here? Have you asked yourself that question? Well, this may be one of the most visible eras in LGBTQ plus history, but visibility without protection is fragile. Visibility without rights is temporary, and visibility without accountability can become a distraction. The question isn't whether LGBTQ people are seen. The question is whether being seen will finally be matched by real, enforceable protections, or whether representation will continue to mask a growing erosion of rights. This has been Listen Up Girl Special Report. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman. If you think this podcast episode will resonate with somebody you know, please be sure to share it. And thanks for listening. And come back later this week for more LGBTQ plus news.